Jordan, Egypt, other Arab nations to accept more Palestinian refugees. Here's what he said.
I'd like Egypt to take people, and I'd like Jordan to take people. You're talking about probably 1.5 million people, and we just clean out that whole thing. It's over the centuries that's many, many conflicts outside, and I don't know. It's something has to happen, but it's literally a demolition site right now. Almost everything's demolished, and people are dying there. So I'd rather get involved with some of the Arab nations and build housing in a different location where they can maybe live in peace for a change.
Now, Egypt says that it rejects any attempt to move Palestinians out of their land, even though it has been devastated by the war. And Jordan's foreign minister says the country is also refusing to take any refugees. So this is fairly bold on the part of the president. Joe, we'll start with you.
Well, we absorbed 12 to 15 million people over the last 4 years under the Biden administration. So if the population roughly of Gaza is 2 million, I'm not saying that it's realistic to move out all of those people. But is Gaza even functioning at this point? Jordan and Egypt, relatively, within the Middle East, are rich countries. They could afford to take in these people, and they have rejected this time and time again. So as far as a solution, it's not a bad start. I don't think you do it to completion, but at the same time, Jordan and Egypt have to step up here.
Yeah, Jordan has already taken in some 2.39 million. They're the country that has taken up the most Palestinian refugees in recent years. Here's a statement from Jordan's foreign minister. Our rejection of the displacement of Palestinians is firm and will not change. Jordan is for Jordanians and Palestine is for Palestinians. Lisa, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, there's a reason Egypt doesn't want to take these people. There's a reason they have a wall protecting themselves from Gaza. There's not a lot of daylight between the Hamas terrorists and many of the citizens that live in Gaza. I mean, you can look at a poll in March of 2024 after the October 7th atrocities, where over 70% of people in Gaza and the West Bank believed that the terrorist attacks that killed 1,200 people and 253 individuals were held hostage, kidnapped from their homes, that was the correct thing to do. So we saw a lot of those citizens celebrating in the streets, partaking in the atrocities that took place. I was covering it on this show the weekend that happened, where you look at this concert of women being raped next to the bodies of their dead friends. So of course they don't want to take these people. And the idea of a two-state solution is out the window. How do you have a two-state solution next to these people after what they did on October 7th? So I don't know what the path forward is. I mean, the UN has said about 60% of the structures in Gaza are basically, destroyed. I don't know what that rebuilding looks like. I don't know what the path forward is, but it's going to look a lot different than it did before Hamas and the individuals who supported it took part in those horrific terrorist attacks.
Yeah, and one of the great challenges with this suggestion by the president is that these countries, Egypt and Jordan, for instance, are pushing back. According to the Washington Post, there's a quote, Egypt's foreign ministry, in a statement Sunday, reiterated its unwavering support for the Palestinian people and their rights to land in accordance with international law. It strongly condemned actions that undermine these rights, including displacement and settlement expansion. I mean, and that's one of the great challenges, is the suggestion by the president is that also the people in Gaza don't want to leave. They're concerned that they won't be allowed back.
Was it the Egyptian foreign minister said, we're supporting the Palestinian people here. Well, what do you think President Trump is trying to do? OK, you've got a place that's almost unlivable, filled with terrorists that have to be gotten out of that place. OK, and you do have some innocent Palestinians. And he's saying, if you're a neighbor and those people want to get out, help them so we can rebuild. I mean, the insinuation here is that Trump is against the Palestinians. And you've got to reject that out of hand. He's a guy who's trying to solve the unsolvable, right? And it involves rebuilding. It involves getting terrorists out. And it involves protecting innocent Palestinians. At least he's trying to do that. But he's going to get nailed for just coming up with the idea, and it's totally unfair because he's actually trying to think about what would you really do in reality to help the people who live on the ground.
But also remember that the Gazans elected Hamas into power in 2006. Right. And you could say, oh, well, they didn't have a lot of options, but you also don't have to continue to support Hamas all these years later. So
Well, the UN is also, just as practically speaking, that 60+% of the Gaza Strip has been destroyed,
Right.
leveled down. They have problems with hospitals, schools, 92% of homes. So there's also the challenge where just logistically, there's nowhere for people to live right now, and they're displaced up to 90% at any given time, have been moved and moved multiple times.
And Trump was very, in terms of like being specific, he's not saying that it's permanent. He's saying it's temporary while you rebuild. Imagine that 9 in 10 homes are destroyed.
Right.
So how is that a functional place in any way, shape, or form in terms of an economy, in terms of humanitarian, just basic existence? So you got to do something. Until I hear a better solution, that's a good start.
Who's funding the rebuilding as well? Where is that money coming from?
Ooh, we shall see. And who's funding any potential resettlements?
That's right.
And that's a good point.
But he's a developer. He's thinking like a developer, not like a politician who wants to say the right things but never help anybody. He's talking like a developer who wants physically, materially to figure something out that can help people.
And right now, getting a lot of political pushback
Of course
on his
he is.
plans. Yeah.
He always does.
Still ahead on the Big Weekend Show, Trump's top